Open Public Meetings Act statement, please.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting was forwarded to the official township newspapers, posted on the bulletin board and township website on November 3rd, 2022.
Roll call.
Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Mrs. Swain?
Here.
Mr. Key?
Here.
Mr. Marsh?
Here.
Mayor Burton?
Here. We're going to get into a couple of resolutions from the Police Department. We'll start with Resolution 6123. Hiring Police Sergeant Jeffrey McGuigan to the position of Lieutenant. You got a motion?
Make a motion for R 6823.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Swain?
Yes.
Mr. Key?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Matt?
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to see Sergeant McGuigan get promoted to lieutenant. It's a very big crowd. So first of all, I want to start by thanking the residents and the township for the support that everyone has given this police department. This is a special night for us to be able to bolster the leadership in our police department. I constantly harp on leadership. My command staff of Captain Muller, and I'm very proud tonight to be able to promote Sergeant McGuigan to lieutenant. So this is a very special night for us, and I want to thank all of you and the officers for coming, and really thanking the township committee for the support that they've given us. So I want to read a quick biography of Jeff. Jeff McGuigan began his law enforcement career with the Franklin Township Police Department in April of 2004. Prior to joining the department, he attended York College in Pennsylvania, graduating with a degree in criminal justice in 2002. He was an alternate route member with the Camden County Police Academy, Class 40, graduating in 2003. When Jeff started his career here, he was lucky enough to be trained by a seasoned veteran who was a great guy to work with and from whom he learned a great deal, Councilman Mike Marsh. During his time on patrol, Jeff worked with many talented and skilled officers and was supervised by some of the greatest guys any patrol officer would want to be around and learn from. He credits many of these officers for where he is tonight. Along with working in the patrol division, Jeff also spent time in the detective bureau before getting promoted to patrol sergeant in December 2015. During his 7 years as a patrol sergeant, Jeff has worked with a large percentage of the current officers here tonight and knows that they make up one of the best police departments in Gloucester County, and I will certainly second that. In 2022, he was moved off the road as an administrative sergeant overseeing the professional standards division and internal complaints. He oversees the department's body-worn camera system and assists in firearm background checks and municipal court matters. He is also the department's domestic violence liaison officer for Gloucester County. Jeff is most proud of being a member of Team Franklin, which participates annually in the police unit tour, riding bicycles from New Jersey to the National Police Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., in remembrance of officers who have died in the line of duty. Jeff has ridden many times and wants all officers to have the experience of participating in the event at least one time. Jeff is here tonight with family, his wife Michelle, and daughters Alyssa and Ashley. Jeff, come along.
I, Jeffrey McGuigan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially and justly perform all the duties of lieutenant, because all the duties of lieutenant for the Franklin Township Police Department, to the best of my ability. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance, to the same, and to the government established in the United States, and to governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people, so help me God.
Motion for resolution R 6923, authorizing the hiring of Jesse Miller as patrolman 10th class.
Make a motion for R 6923.
Second?
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes.
All right, read a little bit about Jesse. Jesse Miller grew up in Richmond, New Jersey, where he graduated from Cumberland Regional High School in 2019. After high school, he attended Rowan College in South Jersey, where he obtained an associate's degree in justice studies. Prior to serving with Franklin Township, Jesse served as a Class 1 officer in Ocean City during the summer of 2021 and a Class 2 officer during the summer of 2022. Jesse was hired by Franklin Township as a Class 2 officer by the Franklin Township Police Department 6 months ago and has been assigned to the Patrol Division and assisting in court security. Jesse has had the pleasure of working alongside great colleagues who have helped him attain ample knowledge of police work to assist him in his career. Jesse would like everyone to know that the most important aspect of working here is that he's able to show up to work every day happy, motivated, and determined. And he would like to thank the police administration and his colleagues for providing him with the opportunity to continue his career with Franklin County. When off duty, Jesse's three passions are his faith, his family, and fitness. Jesse has been a great hire for us, and I have no doubt that his hard work and determination will continue into a long and prosperous career here in Franklin County. Jesse, you want to come up?
I, Jesse Miller, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly, that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of a police officer in the Franklin Township Police Department to the best of my ability. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. So help me God.
I want to congratulate these two officers. I've known Jeff personally for many years prior to even becoming police officers here. I went to York College in Pennsylvania with him. So this is very special for me, as special as it is for him, it's special for me. Jesse's been a great hire for us. We work in part-time capacity. We're really happy to be able to bring him on full-time. He's a very hard-working and determined officer, and I think he's going to have a long, prosperous career here. I also want to thank the men and women that are in this room that make up this police department. Very hard over the years to get everyone out, but pretty much the whole police department, at least in one or two places, are here to support these two gentlemen. And that goes back to how much they care and how much they are dedicated to the township. Again, I want to thank the township committee. I work very closely with Mr. Finley to get these things done, and the police department going in the right direction. I stood up here in May and dedicated that to the residents of this town. I'm here to say that we're really working for the residents. So thanks.
We'll take about a 5 or 10 minute break so we can call you in. That's all right. Thanks. The cameraman's in that one.
I fight this solution all every day.
Thank you for that. Do a motion on the public hearing on ordinance 323, authorizing a special summons for each item for requests concerning bilingual county recording submitted for the Township of Franklin Police Department.
Make a motion to open the public hearing on 0323.
Second. All in favor? Your motion to close the public hearing on 0323.
Make a motion to close 0323.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 323.
Make a motion to open the public, we're actually,
Move to open the public hearing.
04, okay. We're gonna approve 03.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve 0323.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Make a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 424, authorizing statutory fee increase for applications for public to carry firearms submitted to the Township of Franklin Police Department.
Make a motion for 0423.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
For a motion to close the public portion of ordinance 423.
Make a motion to close 0423.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 423.
Make a motion to approve 0423.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. For a motion to open the first public portion for resolutions and ordinances below.
Make a motion to open the first public portion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening. Nina Basello, 560 Dulcie Drive, Franklin. I noticed on the agenda today that there are several new positions that are being filled. And I find that very curious because when I sat on Township Committee and we were filling a position, we almost always had a closed session where we discussed it as a group to make a group decision. And what I'm not seeing, and what I haven't seen in ages, is any closed session to discuss personnel issues. So I'm very curious, how do you make a decision as a group on who to hire without discussing it? Who's making the decision? Because it's clearly not a collective effort if you're not discussing it as a group. In fact, I'll go one step further. You had something on your agenda up until a few minutes ago saying that you were hiring a Bob DeMarchi for a position. And that's since been pulled off the agenda. It isn't on the agenda. It was on the agenda at my computer at home, and when I got here, it's not on the agenda. Someone made a decision that you're not hiring Bob DeMarchi tonight. Who made that decision? Because it's clearly not the group of you.
That was a clerical error on my part.
You accidentally put that you were hiring someone who
It was taken off and I was redoing the test.
So it is going to happen today. Okay. Again, now, how do you make a decision? How do you discuss who the best candidate is without actually having a meeting? You can't discuss it out here. You can't discuss it with any more than two of you separate from the meeting. So how do you make decisions like that? Or is someone else making the decisions for you and you're yes stamping those decisions?
I'm not reviewing and making the decision.
Who's we? Because there's a group of
I'm explaining it, Carol. I mean, you know, we talk to conclusions all the time.
it's
Just the same way, you know, two people interview a few people, and they're going to other people interview, and they talk, and then
But you don't discuss it. That's what I'm saying. You as a committee, no one person in that group has the authority to make the decision. You are supposed to make it as a collective group. I'm talking. What I'm saying is, I've never heard of personnel decisions being made without a discussion, an open discussion amongst the entire group. And I think it's indicative of the fact that the decisions are not being made collectively. Because the other thing I found interesting about the 4 or 5 people we're hiring tonight is you have Derek Leary. Where's he coming from?
Derek Leary, why not talk about this now?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Again, the decisions can't be made in closed session. Decisions is
It's a discussion.
the decision.
We've all known good work for us before.
Okay, and he also worked for Biden, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Yes. And Herbert,
I will tell you before he was dropping the bottom.
Herbert Leary is also from Biden.
Derek Leary.
And Herbert, your other hire.
Sorry, Tony.
And Bob DiMarchi. In fact, I'm pretty sure they all worked for Mr. Finley when he was director of personnel in Biden. So it seems to me that the tail wagging this dog is the administrator who's choosing all the people he worked with in Biden. And I just want to be clear, in addition to not winning warehouses, we don't want to become Little Biden. I mean, it just seems to me that everything's getting away from this township committee, and it's being handled by other people who have different agendas. And like everything's a little bit just weird. You're hiring someone named Holroyd, right? You advertise for a full-time position. Your resolution says you're hiring him full-time, yet he works for multiple other municipalities.
No, that's correct.
So you're hiring him full-time, he'll be here 35 hours a week? 40 hours a week. Okay, then I take that back. If he's going to be here 40 hours a week, that's fair.
Well, I think he's a junior, and I think his father's the
My
one.
father is a junior.
Not a problem, that's my bad.
I am not.
Well, different name.
Different name.
But I still go with what I said. You can't make a group decision without discussing the candidates amongst yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Harry Kennedy, 1578 Fresno Road.
Good afternoon.
I hate to admit this, and it really does say how old I am, but I believe I have more experience in government than all of you put together. I mean, it's sad for me, but good for you. What I find remarkable, I find it almost beyond remarkable, is that resolution R-7023 that's not on the agenda is now back on the agenda. It was off, but now it's on. It was on the website, but it got erased somehow, and now it's back on book. Is that what it is? So that's how it happened? You just forgot to put it on or didn't copy what was already on the agenda? Okay, very good. Mr. Marchi is a Vineland resident. He's a retired police officer from Vineland. Vineland police officers have been somewhat in a pickle lately with all the scandals that have gone on. Chief of police is involved in a sex scandal. Our administrator was fired from Vineland and is suing Vineland in regards to testimony in regards to him, according to him, being forced to lie about the sexual innuendos and the things that took place. In fact, I think he's even claimed that he was very much offended by what took place, by the jokes that were told, by the irrelevant nature and sexual nature of the things that went on, which I find very incongruous for those of you who know what that word means. I also would like to point out that Mr. DiMarchi is being hired. And again, I'd like to ask Sergeant Marsh, who served very honorably on the police department, like, do we have some retired officers from Franklin, do you think?
Working here?
No, do we have retired officers from Franklin that might like to apply for a job?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And was this job advertised at all? Mr. Gamachi's job? No, I'm not aware either.
For 30 days it was advertised.
Why was it advertised as a special aid to the police department?
As a police aid.
Why was it advertised as a special aid to the police department?
Facebook. It was posted on our website.
Newspapers advertised for a position for special police aid?
Deputy Chief Cesare handled it.
Would you, if you were going to have a special police aid and something that's traditionally been done by somebody sitting on the police department, how widely it was advertised, how openly it was advertised, how many people applied is a good question. But the question still begs itself, how did we end up with another violent resident that served under somebody that's undergoing a lawsuit in Vineland and is coming here?
I'll be honest with you, this is kind of like ignorant. But you would think that we would look here for a retired person.
I hope you would.
Well, we do, okay? We've had problems with class 3s at the schools. They're not offering that. We can't get any more people from there. And then there was someone that recently, we thought he would be interested in doing it, but he wasn't. So,
Jack, I really appreciate your insight. You can give it all on afterwards. You're welcome. Good. Another thing I point out, Jake, is you have the most preeminent company in the state of New York. No, I'm making a statement. I'm telling you. You had the most preeminent company in the state of New Jersey that's handled over 300 municipalities, that's been the administrator, that's done the work, that's done the evaluation, that's done everything that can be imagined, from every city, from the largest down to the smallest, from the best to the worst. And you decided to replace them with somebody that you represented as a union leader.
he was the opposite of a union. He was a minister. He wasn't anyone. So get your facts straight.
You were the one that told me about the story. He was back when his
He's never certain as business manager, you know anything about a union, right? The president, the business manager, the president of the union.
Jake, I never hired my crony and replaced the best farm in the state with somebody who would come and do my bidding. I hired his best farm. I hired his best farm. Yeah, that's your crony.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for telling me.
Take care.
I did someone from Franklin Township.
Thank you, buddy.
He changed his mind last second, correct?
I need to have somebody from Franklin Township who was arrested.
I tried. He was interested, and he did change his mind at the last second.
Good. Thank you.
Good evening, Nancy Kennedy, 711 St. George Street, Newfield, but Franklin Township. Although I'll tell you right now, I kind of wish I lived in Newfield, and I'll tell you why. Because the way that people in this township and people who work for this township are being treated is an abomination. I would like to point out all the people who you are replacing this evening. People like Rosemary Flaherty. I'll go out on a limb and say she is the best damn zoning officer we have ever had. She's been replaced. Our construction official, never knew why, but apparently he just resigned also. Stefan Garofalo worked for 7 years for the township, submitted a resignation that said she was leaving because of the way she was treated. People in this audience who are residents, who are taxpayers, who have served on that committee, get up to speak, and they're told things like, oh, you always jump to conclusions, and you're ignorant. And I was even told that the administrator went out into the audience during the meeting and told somebody to shut the F up. Now here's my concern. All of of you represent all of us. And quite frankly, the last thing I want to do is be at a township committee meeting. I want to be able to trust that this township, my children, my family, who's lived here for 5 generations, is being well represented. But sadly, that isn't happening. We're seeing it with this redevelopment zone. Now, I'm not going to say what I think about a warehouse or the redevelopment zone or spoil in the township. What I will say is, I have seen very dedicated members of this public come to meetings and be treated horribly. I've seen them be charged exorbitant amounts of money to use a building the very few, if anyone, ever was charged because they appear to be your political adversaries. When I reached out with an email, it was ignored except by one committee person who I won't put on the spot, but I will thank for reaching out. And moreover, today, when citizens, many of whom are in this room, got together to do a very peaceful protest and bring awareness, they were treated horribly. They were told they should get liability insurance. They were yelled at when they were out on the lawn. And police tape was put up in their parking lot to keep them from taking spots from the people who don't oppose the redevelopment zone. It's not okay. This is still America. We have a right to be heard. We have a right to be treated with respect. And if you can't do it, if you can't treat your employees with respect, and if you can't treat the people in this room with respect, if you can't be transparent and share information, if you can't keep yourself from sitting at a meeting and saying somebody's so fat that you can pop them with a pin, then get off this committee because we don't need you representing us. Thank you.
Any motion to close the first public portion?
Make a motion to close the first public portion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to approve correspondence and reports?
Make a motion to approve the correspondence and reports.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes from February 14th, 2023.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from February 14th, 2023.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the bill list.
Make a motion to approve the bill list.
Second. I have a question. Was that taken care of?
Yes, there was a, finance was looking into that, there was a problem with 2 buildings, that we're rectifying, so our costs are going to be reimbursing us all the way back to November.
Okay.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution R70, 24, appointing Robert Finacci to part-time position of police aide in Franklin Township Police Department.
Make a motion for R70.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 7123, awarding contract to West Jersey Title Agency for title work services for farmland preservation projects in the total amount of $2,695.
Make a motion for R7123.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 7224, awarding contract to Farragut Engineering for surveying services for farmland preservation projects in the total amount of $19,604. Is that correct?
Yes.
Make a motion for R7223.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 7323, appointing emergency temporary budget.
Make a motion for R7323.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 7424, appointing Salvatore Catania, additional duties as temporary acting construction subcode official and multi-family subcode official due to resignation of Michael Palmer.
Make a motion for R7423.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 7523, appointing Derek J. Leary, temporary acting plumbing subcode official and building subcode official due to resignation of Michael DePalma.
Make a motion for R7523.
Second?
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Quinn.
Yes. Appointing Howard C. Murray, Resolution 7623, appointing Howard C. Murray, temporary acting fire code official due to the resignation of Michael DePalma.
Make a motion for R 7623.
Second?
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Quinn.
Yes. Resolution 7723, appointing Jonathan Harville as the county and zoning administrative officer due to the resignation of Rosemary Fowler.
Make a motion for R 7723.
Second?
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Quinn.
Yes. Resolution 7823, appointing the township administrator as temporary ordinance housing inspector.
Make a motion for R 7823.
Second?
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Quinn.
Yes. Resolution 7923, authorizing tax collector and chief financial officer to refund taxes paid on municipal owned property.
Make a motion for R 7923.
Second?
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Quinn.
Yes. We have a motion to open second public portion for any comments.
I make a motion for the second public portion.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
A little late on.
Is the public portion in the book?
What's made?
Thank you. Robert Doherty, Clearfield Avenue, Franklinville. I'm holding, I think, a screenshot of New Jersey statute annotated 10:4-8 that talks about when you're supposed to notify an agenda for an open public meeting. It says 48 hours. Is that correct, or am I misreading something?
That's right.
That's for a special.
Special meeting?
This is your standard advertisement.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the agenda.
No, I understand. The portion you're reading is reference to a special.
Okay. So when does the agenda have to be posted? For the public to know when you're going to be talking about anything.
The agenda for a regularly scheduled meeting, there's no hard requirement. We sorry, Friday, which is certainly within the lines of any regulation.
So it's usually posted on a Friday?
Correct.
So things that are discussed on Tuesday, I could find out on Friday. Is that what you're saying? Okay, great. Another item, and I'm sure you're well aware of the interest and that the general public has about this redevelopment zone situation. My suggestion, and I hope that you will think about it, not that you may make a decision tonight, it's not on the agenda, but I would hope that you will make the decision to at least consider postponing your decisions, having portion, well, not just a portion, several open public demonstration meetings that they do when they're going to raise rates on the turnpike. A month at a time, all information disclosed, a chart that shows what you're doing, when you're doing it, a yes and no, a pro and con. Everybody's, giving different pieces of information. After several meetings, such as that, then have a local referendum. Let the taxpayers decide. We want it, we don't want it. It takes the pressure off the town committee. Nobody's pointing fingers at planning and zoning. Nobody's pointing fingers at the economic development committee. I think that's the answer that we're all looking for. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not going to hire anybody.
You hired me, so you can hire me. You hired me like that.
I'm here because of what's been happening in the township, because of people leaving notes on my mailbox, anonymous notes. People have come to my office. I've been working, my people have been working with Matt and Bob, trying to help you out, get to the bottom of things. I'm going to leave this with you. It's a 1909 map of the whole area. And I'm going to shooting is not what your problem is. Because there were little lots. And going back to my police chief days, they sold a lot of stuff to the present owner. Would not cooperate with the police department on drinking, stolen cars, everything in this entire area. There are no little rats. And even when we had a homicide back there, I did not acknowledge any of our communications. So I'm long time aware of the problems that you folks are facing. Now, because I didn't realize how far I was entangled in this. I was elected Township Committee, 97, 98, 99. 98, 97, 98, I was on the planning board. In fact, I had a lot of conversations with Mr. Putch on some of the issues, and he was very helpful. I was also county clerk. I was sitting on the Township Committee, and I was on the planning board. So I wrote some dates down that was tying some of these issues together for at least assist and let the public understand. And I have to take time to put my glasses on. In August of 1997, Victor Wayne purchased a mortgage from Glendale National Bank. And that mortgage was dated 1989. And it covered blocks and blocks, the silence of mortgage, and it's in our record book T21. And the mortgager was Martin Smith, the gentleman that we had so much trouble with when I was past chief. The Latin block descriptions covering the mortgage property come from the Malaco tract map that was submitted in 1909 and approved by the Franklin Township Committee in 1952. So nothing happened on that map for 43 years. On February 18th of 98, Victor Wayne, and I believe Dave Ferrucci was on the planning board with me. I believe we had a conversation with Victor Wayne, but my memory cannot guarantee that. But he foreclosed on the mortgage by a sheriff's sale. And that was February 25th, 1998. He began the sale and took title to the properties that were covered. And there was an affidavit of consideration for the sheriff's deed showing a statement of prior mortgages, liens, and encumbrances do not appear on those outstanding municipal liens. In fact, the township began the year-round process for foreclosure on the tax sale complaint in New Jersey Superior Court, February 20, 1998. I was in the Township Committee. I was pushing to do something with this situation as much as I could, because, quite frankly, I hired Mr. Smith. I went all the way back for best part of 13 years I was police chief. So, the year-end complaint was filed in the county clerk's office March 11, 1999, containing many parcels assessed to Martin Smith. And the township foreclosed on those tax sale certificates, which were sold to them. And said parcels ended up belonging to Victor Wayne and were included in the run. On July 2nd, 1998, a deed was dated and recorded in Franklin Township to Mr. Wayne, clarifying he owns 2 specific lots, blocks, and 3 corresponding lots. I have the numbers here. I'm not going to with all those. Whereas the township has no claim, and the parcels appear to be covered under the sheriff's sale. A final judgment in favor of Franklin Township was filed in Superior Court December 30th, 1999. Next to last I was on the Township Committee. And I was the clerk, county clerk. That didn't get recorded until October 6, 2000. And Franklin Township takes approximately 136 parcels, including the parcels that were foreclosed upon by Mr. Rome. And I think that's what Matt's been wrestling with. And there was, and of course, then, so from that October 2000 until you gentlemen and lady took action on January 13th to clarify the ownership issue. So there's some uncertainties. First off, I cannot do a search. Okay, you have to hire and I heard you hire the checking, because my office cannot, will not do a search. But I was just trying to get to the bottom or get an understanding of what was going on, because I was getting so many inquiries at the office, so many phone calls at the office. When I was slaves, which I was mentioning, and people stopping me throughout the town. I do have one more question. There may be a conservation grant in here somewhere, 1 acre. I don't know if you've come across that. But a title searcher may turn that up. I'm not saying there is, and I'm not sure, and I'm not saying it has anything to do with the plots of ground that are in question or being sold or that people are commenting on. I cannot and will not verify either way. So I just felt this is only the second township committee meeting I've ever come to on taking a position on something, and it's not even a position. The first one was when we had a dam break in LA that affected, and by the way, thanks for working with us on that.
No, thank you. I'm getting to that point.
Looks like we're getting there. But I just I was going to come up and just let people know how complex this issue is, and that just work on with it, because I tried on several levels, and I can't go on the search. I can't take a job right now. But anyway, please know we'll continue to try to work. The issue aside, I was very concerned about what was happening to the Manginis. We even checked that street. Mr. Mangini remembered that there was a smudge he moved in 1974, I believe. There was a sign that said on the street. I remember that sign when I moved in 1976. You never vacated that street. That paper street's still there. So, we got to, we can make a lot of them, but it just gives an idea of everything that goes on there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Goode.
Thank you. Harry Kennedy, 1578 Croswell Road. Mr. Mayor, notably tonight, there's nothing on the agenda about the redevelopment zone. Have you come to a conclusion? Are you postponing it? Are you going to wait for the master plan, or are you, is this something you don't want to share yet, or you're planning a surprise? Good.
Keep on your toes.
Good. Thank you, Jake. You're delightful at doing it. I just wanted to say that it's been interesting to watch the process as it's unfolded in terms of the Rome site. Was there a title search done, Mr. Mayor, on that site? Was it thoroughly checked out as to the province? Was that done by a legitimate title firm for someone?
Who's
Used our foreclosure counsel here, to trace the history as county clerk has just laid out, the basis facts that he had just recited into to research the procedures.
Good. Again, as Mr. Hogan said, and I don't even know if Jim's aware of this, and he's aware of almost everything. At one time, those sites were going to be sold for trailers for people who could come down from Philadelphia and have a wonderful summer at Malaga Lake. And Jim, you'll appreciate this. They even give away prizes at gas stations for some of those lots back there. They do? Yeah. So when you go through that title search, you might find that one of your ancestors, exactly. You might find that one of your ancestors owns one of those lots.
And I got no interest in that property.
Well, I'm sure you don't. But that would make you, well, not a minority, but you would not be alone. The other thing that's interesting is that site, especially on the side closest to Arundel Lake, owned by Mr. Rome without any question, something that he has paid taxes on. There are some billboards there. Are you aware of that, Mr. Mayor?
Say that again?
There are billboards on that site.
Which site?
The road side on the side that's towards Arundel Lake now.
No, didn't know.
Now, so the billboards would have a designated lot as part of that, and there would be developed land, even though they're being utilized on the Q farm, which is the firewood and the fire preservation. So those billboards would have some impact on redevelopment, because I know your engineering firm, the one that used to be a redevelopment site, you remember them, CME, the ones that were replaced on your organization day, your new engineering firm.
Selected by
Township Committee.
Selected by the zoning board.
The zoning board.
Selected by.
And where did the zoning board get that name, Mr. Mayor? That's you, Devin. It's one of those members appointed by the Township Committee, and one of Mr. Doyle's business associates sitting down, and I'm sure they had no idea. Well, we just picked that engineering firm out of the air after all these years. If you believe that, I believe that your chairman donated $1,200 in cash on election day. I believe that too, Mr. Mayor. But finally, I'm going to say this. You've lost a very dedicated, competent, intelligent employee. And nobody in this room tonight should take a victory lap that this fight is over. Winston Churchill once said it best. It's not the end of the beginning. It's not the beginning of the end. It's the end of the beginning. You can't give up this fight. Again, I also notice, Mr. Bruno, that you are meticulous. I want to give you a compliment. You stayed out of any of the land machinations that went on. You didn't meet with any developers. You didn't take them to see any sites. You didn't take them to see any land you owned. You were above board and did not violate the strictures of any law. You would be commended for doing that. I hope and pray that the same thing applies to every other township committee member in terms of showing sites to developers and getting inside information as to where they might go. Remember his name, Agile. Remember the refrigeration farm. Remember the ordinance that was passed to take care of solar. Remember how it was done. Remember who it benefited. Remember the suits that are coming. And remember most of all, who stands to profit most from all those little land deals. Thank you.
John Stippick, 2075 Main Road, Newfield. Good evening, Township Committee members. If you don't object, I would like to turn around and address the public. I've prepared a statement specifically to some of those that have spoken out against the redevelopment plan. I believe it's going to be a wildly unpopular opinion, and it'll take the heat off of you guys for the next 4 minutes and 38 seconds.
I don't think it's going to happen though.
I'd like to make a statement regarding the redevelopment study area. I feel compelled to address a concerning trend that has pervaded through the testimony of many of the residents Sorry.
We'll go back to you. No, just a minute.
All right, sorry about that. I'll start over. I'd like to make a statement regarding the redevelopment study area. I feel compelled to address a concerning trend that is pervaded through the testimony of many of the residents that have spoken out against the redevelopment study. Now, it's been speculated that if the redevelopment study area is approved, and if a mega warehouse is approved, and if that mega warehouse requires municipal sewer service, then the state will require Franklin Township to extend municipal sewer service to Allegan Village. Then the state will require Franklin Township to provide low-income housing opportunities for lower-class members of our community. Many people that have gone up here and spoke out against the redevelopment area cite increased low-income housing requirements as a reason why the redevelopment area designation should be denied. Do they not want low-income families in our community? This anti-low-income rhetoric is careless, and it's callous towards members of our community. I hope this rhetoric is not intended to be discriminatory against low-wage earners or discriminatory against minorities, but the truth is, it is discriminatory, whether you intend it to be or not. You're still using the same anti-low-wage rhetoric as those people that do discriminate against low-wage earners. You're using the same anti-low-wage rhetoric as those people that openly do discriminate against minorities. That rhetoric appeals directly to people that do not want low-income housing in our town because they feel it will invite minorities in our town. And they don't want minorities in our town. And I think some of you can do better with the rhetoric that you use to oppose this redevelopment area. I object to the insinuation that any community development plan should be immediately dismissed and rejected simply because it may provide housing opportunities for low-wage earners. And some of you have expressed that belief. You have expressed the opinion that the needs of the lower class should not be only ignored in future community development plans, but it needs to be avoided at all costs to save the quality of life in Franklin, to preserve the rural character of Franklin, to save the environment of Franklin. We must not allow any more low-income housing in Franklin. That's what I'm hearing. I've heard many residents speak up here at this very podium that claim to have been compelled to speak up because they care about our community. They care about the residents. They care about their neighbors. Well, many of your neighbors are low-wage earners. There are actually several low-income communities in our town, in Malaga, Iona, and Franklinville, probably some low-wage individuals in here tonight. And this rhetoric seems to infer that you only care about middle-class residents. Some people want to deny wealthy corporate interests from capitalizing on their investment in this community at the very same time oppose extending opportunities to lower-class residents. Some of these views are short-sighted and selfish. And if you feel like my statements are misrepresenting you, and I'm way off base, then I urge you, I implore you to re-examine and reanalyze the ways you express yourself and your views. The rhetoric you employ can have unintended consequences. And to those that continue to employ their anti-low-wage settlements, do not try to imply that you speak with the voice of the community, or that your opinions are for the betterment of the community. This community has and always has had low, mid, and high-income residents, and we all count as members of the community, and we should all be treated with equality and respect. Thank you. Thank you, Township Committee members. Thank
you. Leah Sally, 560 Dusty Drive. And I think I want to address something that regardless of whether you love trees or love warehouses or what the situation is with the redevelopment zone, I think it's the underlying issue. You can love both, but I think it's the underlying issue that has to be addressed. And I started to address it last week. I didn't have a lot of time before I talked about it last week, but I had somehow missed it last year. But the resolution where the property that Mr. Evans spoke about was sold or as Matt Ryan said, given to Victor Room. Now, the interesting thing is when I went back to pull up the resolution again to take another look at it, I see there were actually two resolutions. So the first resolution, R-18722, states that those properties, and again, this goes back to a very cloudy title issue from 20-some years ago. I think it was late 90s, but from 20-some years ago, the first resolution says that these properties it authorized the township committee to sell these properties to Victor Brown through a quitclaim deed for in-kind consideration and no money at all. Then, on the basis that this was somehow in the best interest of the township to do so. Then, a month later, there's a second resolution which says that the township's authorized and directed to execute a quitclaim deed through which the township's ownership interest is sold to Mr. Brown for consideration in kind, which I assume means he's giving you property in return? No. Okay. And $1.00. And then separately, further down in the resolution, it has this very odd statement that the sum of $123,222.17 shall be paid related to any tax obligation on all parcels set forth herein up to December 7th, 2022. So what I'm seeing from this resolution is a very carefully crafted, what I would consider a legal maneuver to turn property that the township owned over to Victor Brown, another buddy from buying, without putting it up for auction as is required by law, without it going out to bid, without it fitting any of the exceptions. Now, at the same time, I'm trying to say, no, we didn't sell it to them, we gave it to them. They just happened to give us $123,000 too. But it's not a sale, it's a gift because we never really owned the property. So we're just returning it to them, and then they're paying some random amount of back taxes on a property they in theory had no access to for the last 20-some years. It is beyond shady. And this is the problem. The redevelopment zone comes later. But things like this are the problem. Regardless of whether you're for the warehouses or against them, everybody's against corruption. And what this is the township choosing to give away, in my opinion, illegally, property that the township owns to what I understand is the administrator's buddy. From home. Neighbor, buddy. Well, we'll say an acquaintance from Berlin. Again, we'll stick with former neighbor, because I think that's something that can be said. The point is, right before you decide that this area is also in need of redevelopment, and the values have soared for those properties since then. I think one of them is listed for $9 million or something crazy like that. The thing that people don't like is the fact that you can't be trusted with township property to do the right thing. Now you want to do a redevelopment zone, whether you're for affordable housing or against affordable housing, the bottom line is you can't be trusted at this point because who knows what's actually going to end up there. You have an administrator who clearly has an interest in this project. The administrator who, according to his LinkedIn account, works for, in addition to the township of Franklin, a transportation and warehousing company. Cool. How about that? I didn't make his LinkedIn, maybe it's his son, maybe I thought junior or senior confused him, but I don't think so. It's the administrator of Franklin Township and some trucking and warehouse company. It's like we keep running into these problems that say there's nothing sincere in this. There's no desire to benefit the residents of Franklin Township, at least not the residents of Franklin Township. I'm not saying that some resident of Franklin Township or a neighboring community won't benefit, but it is not the residents of Franklin Township. And that's why I do not believe for a minute that redevelopment zone won't go through. It's just waiting for an opportune time because somebody already paid $123,000. According to this resolution, they're going to want a return on their money.
My name's Chris Sayers, 184 Malibu Lake Boulevard. I am low income. I work 2 jobs, just so I can support my wife who stays home and homeschools our children. We have hardly any savings. All the money that we have is tied up into our house, which we bought 4 years ago for $148,000. It's a modest home. We've been trying to fix it up, not as fast as my wife would like. So, when I started Franklin Against Sprawl, I did it because I didn't want a warehouse in the same neighborhood as my children play. And when people say we use things like low-income housing or dog whistles, I'll read it from the website that we have here, right on the affordable housing page. We at Franklin Against Sprawl want to stress our issues not with people of low or moderate incomes, because then I would be attacking myself. They have the right to safe, clean, and affordable housing even in Franklin Township. The truth is that many people in our town are already of this economic status, myself included. And it is these same people who will be hurt when their quality of life is diminished and their property taxes go up. If our property taxes go up, my wife and I would not be able to afford to stay in our home. These real-world consequences of increased residential development will have enormous pressures on our services and our school systems and will cause our property taxes to go up. Look at Washington Township, look at Woodstown. We are relatively, for the state, cheap because we are rural. The only reason we have a tax, state mandated housing, is because that is the only type of residential development that the state mandates. We are equally, and again I'm reading from the website, we are equally against cookie cutter subdivision and McMansion's estates. We just want the people to be informed. We're not trying to scare people, but these are real world issues that we have to face, that we will face consequences for. So I apologize if it appears to some that we're using this as a scare tactic, because trust me, it is not. It is a real world issue that will affect the people of low income like myself who can barely even afford to stay in this township. So, moving on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for this time. Obviously, I think everybody knows I'm against the redevelopment zone, but I am just so disheartened by the level of intimidation that people who represent the government of Franklin Township has tried to put pressure on myself and other individuals in our group. As you know, we tried to reserve a room that was for a meeting that would be open to the public, just for a chance for the public to discuss the issues of the redevelopment zone. I was told that by Administrator Finley that we would have to pay $195 to reserve the room for 2 nights, for 2 hours, I apologize. And the contract that I had to sign in order to reserve that room clearly states nonprofit that is sponsored by Franklin Township, $25 fee. Nonprofit co-sponsored by Franklin Township, $25 fee. And then if you work your way down, you see towards the bottom it says social clubs and groups that social clubs and groups that consists of 90% Franklin Township residents, $25. So when I went to Mr. Finley and I was like, I don't know a lot of this contract language, but it seems to me that it mentioned nonprofit, and then below it said social clubs or groups. I was like, shouldn't I just pay the $25? And he said, no, you're not an official nonprofit. And I just wanted to know who interpreted that contract language. Interpreted it. So who made the decision that you have to be a nonprofit social club or group? Because it doesn't say that. In the contract it says nonprofit 2 times, and then later it says social club or group.
I'm talking to whether you're a nonprofit or not.
No. The contract doesn't say nonprofit, but I was told by Mr. Finley that because I'm not officially nonprofit, I could not use the room for the regular rate for the township.
Who interpreted that, Matt?
Who Whose job is that to interpret
I
that?
mean, the history of this was that the policy was put in place by the governing body because of some, as I recall,
Who interprets that social club or group has to be a 501c3 nonprofit? Who interpreted that?
and the governing body put the parameters in place. So in essence, we committed those to the policy. So that's how it was done.
Well, that's what we did, Chris.
But I mean, who's we did? I mean, Administrator Finley?
I have to say.
Not what the paper said.
The contract specifically mentions nonprofit twice, and then after that it says, as opposed to a different category, it says social club or group. It doesn't say nonprofit social club or group, it just says social club or group. So who interpreted social club or group has to be a 501c3? I mean, gentlemen and ladies, sorry, I apologize. The level of intimidation we've been lied to, when we tried to have a peaceful protest, we were told to be cordoned off 100 feet from the road at night so people couldn't see us. And then when we went to the road, I was yelled at and told that we were supposed to had agreed to go behind the caution tape. Well, you know what? I found out that when Black Lives Matter had their protest, well, the police cordoned off the road for them, and they had a nice little protest right out front. But no, for some reason, Mr. Finley, for some reason, I had to meet with Mr. Finley to get the protest put together, and I had to agree to preconditions. Mr. Finley suggested we get insurance because we might have some hotheads in our group who want to be violent. Half the people in our group, I would say, are middle-aged or elderly. And frankly, after 2020, I don't think any insurance company would insure a protest. Because I tried. But no, that was just an intimidation tactic. Intimidation after intimidation, lies, deceit, intimidation, lack of integrity. So my question for everybody, Mr. Finley, is why? Yes, I was told that Mayor Bruno and Committee Ms. Doyle paid for it. So I was told this after I had gotten my check back that said voided. So I didn't even have the choice to say, no, I want to pay for it. And I was told by Mr. Finley at the same time that, no, the fees weren't waived because that's the rule now.
Welcome your job.
David Marshall, 67 New Road, Mellon. I had a non-berating speech I was going to do tonight because I was tired of that, but let me change now. I said before, Mr. Mayor, your arrogance astounds me. The reason I am not out there, I made a choice to not run for council because I don't have the right disposition for it. I realized when I get up there, I would lose my temper. In that position, you cannot do that. Exactly. You prove my point. You can't. You have to be out there to be civil, professional, calm-minded, and deal with the residents of the village you're in. And some maybe didn't. But that's the reality of it. If you can't do it, don't run for office. It's that simple. There's no other gray area. I mean, there's no other question about it. You can, you can't. I choose to not do it for that reason. Because I know my limitations. It's time to learn them. Some of my things was already taken, but I wanted to talk to Mr. Finley direct. I don't want to mention this to all of you. I'm going to bring up some names, and I just want to know, you can answer your own, it's up to you. I want to know who knows them. Adjective storage. Anybody familiar with it?
Yep. Went a long time ago, requesting properties in the township, and they could build a coach school at their house. They had a concept plan and everything, the gentleman came in once, and then he came in a second time, and then we never heard from him again.
And when was that?
May, June, possibly last year.
How about Brewster developers?
There's a line, there's a line, they never come here.
All right, but again, I talked about transparency before. If there isn't, there's going to be accountability. So that's why I'm asking now, just to see how we're going to move it. It was brought up about the Packer Logistics Company. I mean, obviously, you didn't answer, but are you employed there?
That's my colleague.
That's employed there, so you're the same name?
What's that?
It says on your LinkedIn that you're employed there currently.
I help him out from time to time, and he works for Wawa.
Compensated for that, or is that voluntary?
I'm not compensated. That's my
I've got a couple questions, and this is maybe just my ignorance of committee positions. I know Mr. Dillon and Mr. Bowen, you both on the planning board and also on this committee. And then let's just say I'm a human and say it started the way I was told it started with the township committee asking for the soil and redevelopment. If that being the case, and you put it up to the planning board, and then the planning board decides whether to proceed with the redevelopment, how are both of you allowed to vote yes on that? Or no, in this case you voted yes, to come back to you again for another vote? It just to me seems like a conflict of interest.
There's statutory limits now that require
I do this.
Right, now I understand that. I understand they have to be on there, but I don't understand the need to vote. But it's coming right back to them.
There are certain parameters not on the planning board, more like
All right, so they can vote on something in one vote that's going to benefit them on another.
I don't know what the benefit, I don't know what you mean by benefit.
So they submitted it, I was told they submitted it to the planning board. So if that's the case, and the planning board voted to proceed with it and go back to the committee, that to me would be a conflict of interest.
You're saying benefit though, they're fulfilling two roles that are both required by the regarding subject. Who is the designated member of the governing body and the seat of the body? There's not, I don't, you use the word benefit. You're saying that the benefit.
Well, again, I believe the rule that they started, the township committee asked for this. It goes to the planning board then votes yes to go back to the committee. That to me, the township committee is the one that asked for it. How can they vote to go back to themselves?
It's not a conflict.
Well, I'm confused.
There's no personal benefit to the members.
I don't think personal benefit, it could be a committee benefit.
I don't know what type of benefit that is.
So, the mobile table, I'll come back with a little bit more clarification on the next meeting. Our members of the planning board, and this is, again, we talk about the transparency, and we get confused on some of these because this is what raises the suspicion. Lot 43 and lot 11 is what is considered the bootleg of this. Things were moved to the planning board because they found it was a false area. It didn't exist. And I found 3 references in the past where Mr. Roon received money back as a refund for overpayment of taxes from an imaginary lot. And the address it was mailed to wasn't, it's a business that's delinquent. I'm just curious on how that could happen. Plain book from the answer, it looks like a bunch of deers still having headlights. I'm just curious if there's any different deals. Anybody have an answer on how that could occur?
Mr. Hogan.
Well, most recent was 2017.
Mr. Hogan touched on how confusing it was.
I understand. There's always a
Jordan when a lot of that happened, so.
I know my time's up, but as you know, in the redevelopment, I think we should vote no on the table, just get rid of whatever you need to do on that side. I will leave it with a crew for the residents and for anybody up there that, as we've talked about, can make your own decisions, and I appreciate that. Abraham Lincoln once said, be sure to put your feet in the right place and stand firm. As you see from the residents, you're standing firm. I hope you can too for your moral and ethical convictions from here on out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank Valley, 3013 Dutchmore Road, Mayor Bruno, members of the committee, how are you? I just have some questions about the redevelopment zone. I am very worried about warehouses and deforestation and development and the diminishing of the quality of life in our town, which I very much want to keep as rural as possible. Is there a reason for developers not to simply appear before the planning or zoning board with concept plans as opposed to the EDC? Is there a reason for developers not to simply appear before the planning or zoning board?
Option to do that.
Okay, because it seems like the EDC just isn't a very well-attended meeting, and it seems like it might be in the interest of the public.
This is a public meeting, I've seen a couple people that are wanting to see now that can answer to that, but
Yeah, I understand it's public, I'm just saying it doesn't seem like it has the public attendance that a planning or zoning board meeting does, so it might be in the interest of the town for the meetings to be somewhere.
after this, the next meeting, I believe it's Thursday, but there'll be a lot of people there.
Okay, well, let's see. I have another question. So a member of the Economic Development Commission, I was at a meeting for the group Franklin Against Sprawl at the community center that was discussed. It said regarding the concept design, as we were discussing the warehouse that was proposed to the EDC, it covers almost the entire Fazland piece of property. I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures of it. So, in a meeting of the group Franklin Against Sprawl at the community center, a member of the EDC, regarding the concept design plan, brought before the EDC for a mega warehouse to be built on the Fazland property across from Alger Lake. When he was asked why the EDC approved the plan and forwarded it to the committee, he said that sounds like a great business to have in town. So again, this is a mega warehouse that would cover almost that entire property with an eyesight of Alger Lake. Do you agree that a mega warehouse at that location, as was brought before the EDC and apparently forwarded to the town committee, which initiated this entire redevelopment zone process, do you agree that that would be a quote-unquote great business to have in town? I would like...
I agree to what we voted on in the, at the people, I was doing the fact.
Right.
So, I guess to your questions, no.
Okay. I would just like to hear from each member of the committee if they think, basically I'm asking you, do you think a mega warehouse at that site would be good for the town?
On the Fazio site?
Yep. Any site for that matter, but specifically about the Fazio site. Okay. Yes.
No.
No. Mr. Buell?
I voted no in the meeting,
Yeah, I know you did. I'm just...
so I'm still no.
Yep, okay. Mr. King?
I'm a no on Fazland as well.
Would you consider a warehouse of a similar size on other areas of the town, in other areas of the town?
Pretty broad question.
I mean, basically, because
0.64 miles.
I understand that, but our master plan calls for preserving the rural character of the town, and it just seems to me like a mega warehouse anywhere in the town does not preserve rural character.
I'm pretty sure we preserve a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And I think the 400, whatever that 1,000 square feet, that was 500,000. I think 400 and change was already approved on that site in the past.
Yeah,
There's
years ago.
400,000 square feet, to me, is a mega warehouse. If that is the case, we have a mega warehouse already in town. More than double that size.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 800,000 square feet. So mega warehouse would be millions, in my opinion. But I think it's an opinion, not a fact.
Okay. Yeah. So, you're of the opinion that we could have development with warehouses like that further, and it would be germane with the master plan. It would retain our rural character. It's possible to do that. I guess anywhere in town, or within the redevelopment zone, perhaps on the other land. Would you be open to building warehouses on the rest of the redevelopment zone? I know you took the Fazland piece out, so there's still the forested sections around 40 or 55 there. Would you be open to? Would you support warehouses of a similar size to that which was proposed being built on that land?
I think it would depend on the location, the process, and everything, the details of the plan. I would be opposed to many plans, but I could see plans that would fit in spots if they were done the correct way.
Okay.
It's hard to vote on something that you can't see.
You don't have in front of you. Yep, I understand that. And I know that the plan that was brought before the EDC did have one septic, if I recall, the conversation that we had, which if there ever was any building like that approved, I would hope. My next question would be about water and sewer. Does anyone here support having water and sewer brought into the town?
No.
So that's a definite no.
No.
Okay.
I'm a no on water and sewer.
Okay. And regarding the whole issue of affordable housing that was brought up earlier, I think the issue is not the income of the residents, it's the fact that we'd be required by the state to build X number of units if water and sewer is brought in. So,
Can water necessitate water and sewer being brought in? I think it does.
my understanding of,
I think you could put outside septic for.
no, I'm saying if water and sewer was brought in, I'm not as sure, but my understanding is if in the event of water and sewer being brought into town, we will then be required to build affordable housing units because we wouldn't have the capacity to do so.
I think in the past,
That's not right.
but I think in the past,
He would be able to sue us, sorry to cut you off, he would be able to sue us, and then compel us to, or we'd have to perpetually fight lawsuits. Sorry to cut you
I
off.
think in the past that we've had residents that have actually qualified for low-income housing.
Right.
I do believe it would be difficult to go and ask or even pinpoint who they are. But I do believe at this time, we still could have people come forward and say that it is low-income housing if their house qualifies.
We did that as part of the review by Judge Becker during the duration of adjustment period, where we spent significant time and effort to do that. But as Committee Order Frank said, that can't discuss the specifics. The point being to establish that we do have existing units that do qualify. We were successful to an extent.
So, what is the lawsuit that I've heard talked about so much regarding compelling us to have further affordable housing? I know this has been an issue in the town for years.
That's under COA, and I think
We're in the process. We are one of the last 4 towns in the state. We're still attempting to resolve that. We are unique because of the court recognized that Fair Share Housing recognizes it because of our lack of infrastructure. That's why the integration adjustment, which is something that acknowledges that as the team there is no
Ability or capacity.
correct. We had spent, during the litigation, as the litigation proceeded to go to other towns and see what the problem is that Western County feels
Right, so
even if we could theoretically try to fight
right, so we're still in a gray area where they can't compel us to suddenly have water and sewer, but in the event that we did,
well, again, as the mayor said, there's at some point, as development occurs here, some people think all of a sudden it's just very expensive.
right,
The cost factor of so treating
right.
just the logistics of it. We're not laying here ways because the court would have let us. We're not taking any actions to try to avoid it. We're just making the facts known to the court so that there's a proper recognition. The court obviously frowned on us using things that were similar to prevent affordable housing.
Yeah, you can't say we're holding off on, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Speak for themselves. It's a technical and financial impossible.
right. I mean, I have no disrespect for working people at home, but I think it's inaccurate to say people who are concerned about all these affordable housing units being built are, not respectful to working people. It's a matter of the fact that we'll have to build hundreds of units according to the lawsuit. Is that correct? If we were to meet the state's requirements?
Yes, in a nutshell, the state calculates, the code calculates share. Actually, the law is to end that as well as make sure the next iteration.
Right. So the point is, it does sound like it's been confirmed that if we did ever have water and sewer, we would have to build these units. And also developers, to my knowledge, usually build market rate houses in addition to make it more profitable for them. So that's why, people I think are rightly freaked out about the possibility of water and sewer being brought in through the redevelopment zone. So you are all stating you're opposed to water and sewer in the town?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Just to go ahead, one come over to the left.
Okay. Those are my main questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Wasn't really good at document. But it occurs to me, Suzanne McCarthy, 803 Fresno Road. I think there are just a couple things that perhaps we ought to do in this town. One is, we should talk a little bit about the master plan process, the examination that's coming up, because that might be helpful to addressing a lot of these questions. I think that if that process can also be as transparent as possible, very open, people appointed, anybody who has anything to contribute to it could participate, that would be very helpful and help restore a certain amount of confidence in where we're going. And it hopefully would actually address some of the things that are in the existing master plan about our moral character and how to achieve it and how to maintain it. I think there are some other steps the township committee could take to help with the transparency issue, and that would be, for example, having all of the township committees and commissions have to post their agendas in advance so that people will know what they're talking about, as well as what the township committee and planning board and zoning board are reviewing. Anything that helps restore our confidence in that all of us could have in our governing body, our boards, people who are putting a lot of time, as you guys are, and as I always have in the Environmental Commission, and can feel as if you're constantly criticized, that's how you guys feel, or that you're not appreciated in some way, or that your advice isn't followed, or whatever. I think those steps would be very helpful. And I think if we decide, or if you guys decide, that the whole redevelopment issue should wait for finalization until we do our examination of the master plan, and then we'll definitely make a decision after that and finalize it and get past that issue. I don't know how fast we're going to work on the examinations. I don't have any sense of the timing on that, but it will occur this year, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll start this year.
It'll start. So it could take a while. Either that or decide now that you don't want to go forward with the redevelopment zone. And let's get past this, because it's constantly stirring people up, it's constantly making everybody distrust, and it seems unnecessary to me. Let's go one way or the other. Let's go into what we're trying to achieve in this town and do some actual planning. I'm sorry, I was a planner for the last 10 years of my career. I have to think that planning helps, or I wouldn't have done that. And it does help. You figure out what it is you're trying to achieve, and then you actually work towards it. The way we've been going with that in Franklin, I've been here since 1984, and I don't feel like we've ever really done that. Although we got pretty close with the 2004 master plan change, particularly with the clustering provision for large subdivisions. So anyway, that's what I would suggest that we concentrate on. I know a lot of people want to just tell you what their opinion is on the redevelopment zone. I'm personally opposed to it. Maybe we can just get up here and say that quickly, and then we can all go home. So, okay.
How's it going, guys? Sarah Gianni, 109 Peachtree Drive. I don't know if I'm really technical to add to this conversation, but it is regarding the redevelopment zone, and I hope this will just change the way you think about this entire thing. So, I just wanted to read an excerpt from an essay by the philosopher Martin Heidegger before I start. I lost it. So it says, in the modern epoch, extractive land is challenged in the hauling out of coal and ore. The earth now reveals itself as a coal mining district, the soil as a mineral deposit. The field that the peasant formerly cultivated and set in order appears differently than it did when to set in order still meant to take care of and maintain. The work of the peasant is not found in the soil of the field. In sowing grain, it places seed in the keeping of the forces of growth and watches over its increase. But meanwhile, even cultivation of the field has come under the grip of another kind of setting in order, which sets upon nature. It sets upon it in the sense of challenging it. Agriculture is now the mechanized food industry. Air is now set upon to yield nitrogen, the earth to yield ore to yield uranium, for example. And here we are, challenging the forest, demanding it to yield to us for economic gain or political necessity or whatever other justification we choose to use. But it seems to me that there is nothing more necessary than a forest, which quite literally breathes life into every one of us. But we don't seem too concerned about that. We have likened the forest to utility, to a tract of land in need of redevelopment, as though it doesn't serve a perfectly necessary and valuable function already. That function, of course, being sustaining our lives. Now, we want to cut down the forest and its place to erect a monument of everything that is wrong and tragic about our society. And in regards to this forest, let's take care to call it what it is, which is a forest. It's not a redevelopment zone or a plot of land. Even a forest is misleading, as it allows us to easily forget what lives within and under the trees. The forest is not a conglomerate of wood or timber. It's not a site in need of redevelopment. It's living in as much as we are a breathing entity. It may not have the ability to be reflective as we do, but that's even more to the point of why we should be good stewards. And in Heidegger's words, take care of and watch over the forest. This language is foreign to many of us, archaic even to some, but it's not lost to any of us. We have a tendency to get boxed into the language of economics or politics, to get trapped in abstraction, or to become detached from reality, from what's really out there in the natural world beyond the four walls of an office or of this very room. It's this language of economics and politics which allows us to represent the forest as a redevelopment zone on a two-dimensional piece of poster board. It's convenient to our monetary and financial aims, but it must be understood that a representation of reality, a representation that challenges the forest, which sets upon it to yield to our economic and political interests, but in the name of what? Of progress, of development. It's always struck me as ironic that implicit in these notions is the betterment of the people, not of a few people, but at least the majority, if not everyone. But it seems to me that these decisions are often made at the expense of the people, at the expense of their well-being, their hard-earned money, their health, their quality of life, and at the ignorance of their expressed and explicit desire for their town, for this town. And I think it's pretty clear what every member of this town wants. And if this still is a democracy, and we aren't just speaking merely for the sake of it, I think this decision regarding the redevelopment zone is very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Lori Shaw. I live at 174 Malaga Lake. I'm just going to quickly say I am against this redevelopment zoning proposal. However, I'm not against being progressive or even smart growth, but it has to be that smart. And I am imploring that we put aside any type of decision or even a date for a decision until after the master plan is completed. And definitely all traffic patterns, environmental studies, all of that is done and very transparent to everybody.
Any motion to close the second portion?
Motion?
Yeah, hi. Can I give him a call or we'll go over? How's it going? I'll just say, as I said at the planning board committee, that it's hard to follow Heidegger. That, yeah, forests or anything that has not been improved in the last 10 years or last 100 years or 1,000 years, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have utility and purpose and usefulness to the people, the residents of the township and of the area. So I just want to advocate for, the space being valued for what it is currently. And also, the gentleman who was saying it just left, but I think it's important to state that there's nothing more classist than the insinuation that people of any income level, or any class level, or any education level, don't benefit from living in a place where there's green stuff and where people give a damn. And another quote, this one's a little more, pedestrian. The true measure of a man or a viewer of all of us as well is what we're doing when no one's looking. And guess what? We're all watching now, and we're going to see. We want that transparency. Thank you.
Thank you.
I keep putting it on.
There's something weird about this speaker. It's like farted. No, not yet. Stop it. My name is Mindy Curran, 71 Edgewood Avenue. I would like to state once again that I strongly oppose the redevelopment zone and the invitation of warehouse trucking facilities. I ask that you put an end to this drama and vote a unanimous no, which seems like you all would anyway. This way we can focus on the master plan and really tune in and address what this community is about. I do appreciate that you are willing to subject yourselves to questions and criticism that can't be pleasant. That said, I'm going to address some of you directly. I appreciate it if you let me finish before a response if you are so inclined. Mr. Marsh, you implied that there is a radical agenda in the works. I don't know what that could mean, but it feels inflammatory and divisive. There are different kinds of agendas. It depends on which one you subscribe to that determines who is the radical. And it's always the other guy. Mr. Doyle and some others suggested political inclinations of residents in this protest. I do not appreciate this stance to deflect your responsibilities and dismiss the burden a redevelopment zone imposes on this township. Mr. Doyle and Mayor Bruno, I am new to these meetings. I was motivated by this redevelopment zone, appalled that more woods could be demolished. From the beginning in December and from there on, I've been disappointed and alarmed by your demeanor and responses to the public. That has been fairly mild today. Aggressive denial, sour defensive faces, and looking down. Hopefully taking notes and not playing on your phone. Your full regard is required in order to move forward. Can you concede that you are not forthcoming and miscalculated our response in learning about the EDC's meeting and origin of the recommendation? Up until this point, it was a process that once begun could not be stopped. But now is the time to vote no on all three zones and assure us that you are not going to turn this into a trucking roundabout. I want to trust you. I want to have confidence that you are humble enough to know when you don't know
and will consult with the proper environmental, economic, and land planning professionals to guide the future of this township. South Jersey, the real Garden State, is under assault from warehouse developers. We are easy targets. Land is cheap and there is less population to fight it. They know that the laws for notifying residents are antiquated and in their favor, and that many of us can't afford to spend time and energy to stand up to them. We rely on you to do that for us. Please don't kick the can down the road. Vote no on the redevelopment zone. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Palmer, 724 Oak Avenue. I live around the corner. The reason I'm standing here is because I've heard and seen on Facebook and also very inflammatory remarks, not only from some of the people in this room. I just want to say that the comments about the low-income housings are offensive. At one time, I myself qualified for low-income housing. I also was eligible for food stamps. 6 weeks into my pregnancy with my son Matthew, who is overseas serving our country right now, I lost my job. So here we go. Now I'm into this system that just hates you. We hate homelessness as a group, but somehow we also hate the people that are just about homeless. And that's just hurtful, as a person. But my main objection, and I do object to the redevelopment zone as it is right now, is that nobody's convinced me it's in the good of this community. I've heard on Facebook people have a right to do with their property as they want. I would give you an example where that is not an absolute right. But the fact that one person could benefit at the potential detriment of everyone else in the community. I live on Oak Avenue. People are more worried about the 100 possible low-income families coming into the group, but they're not worried about 100 trucks from God knows where coming into our community right down the street from my house. But I still haven't heard anything that says, this is a great idea, I think we should do it. And people do have a right to do what they want with their land, but it doesn't sound like anybody really knows, the transactions involved in this particular land. So I just want to say that, I totally, absolutely know, and I think the committee's done a poor job of saying how it benefits our community, the people in this room. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah. Okay.
Good evening. Michael Pack, 69 Hall Avenue. I haven't been able to attend a lot of the meetings due to health problems, but I was wondering, was it ever explained to the public exactly what the planning board's function in the redevelopment zone is? It seems like some people don't understand the planning board's function.
I'm sure that question was probably asked at one of the meetings, right? I know it was asked the planning board, right? Did you answer the planning board?
I don't want to jump in up here and thought that it was a conflict of interest. It's not. I know exactly how it works. I've been on the planning board before. You're just a forum. We've got 2 meetings that the public can attend and see what the redevelopment zone is about, how it functions, what its purpose is. And it goes back to you fellows and ma'am. You decide to listen to her opinion, accept it, talks about, do whatever you please. It really doesn't matter. But the public got to see, I believe, at least 4 meetings, public meetings, to see what it was all about. All right? Okay. I'd rather not see it go through in this town, only because I don't want to see large developers be able to circumvent the planning board and zoning board. I'd rather see them come in front of those boards, follow a master plan, try to get variance, let the town know what's going on. Not like behind the scenes with what can happen. All right? I came from Central Jersey, came down here 3 years ago thereabouts, to escape the sprawl there. They don't want to see it here. If somehow we get seawater and sewage, this place is just going to be a mess. We look like Washington Township within 10 years. I don't even feel like moving now. I'd rather just stay here. So, I would say I want to see bigger warehouses, smaller industrial parks, I'm good with that. But once you got city water and sewage in here, that's just the beginning of the end. Okay? That's all I have.
Thank you.
Motion to close the second public portion.
Motion to close the second public portion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports, John.
Environmental Commission met last night, so we had several discussions. One of the things that we talked about was the facilitation of a grant. So I'm working with Chairman Stipik as well as other members of the Environmental Commission to try to move that along as swiftly as possible. I know that I might have to reach out to Mr. Finley soon enough in regards to that, as well as seeing the engineers and I believe individuals at the Green Acres as well as the Finance Commission. So be on the lookout for any questions regarding that. And thank you for everybody who's been recommending me resources to read about redevelopment zones. So I'm currently looking at NJDEP 139B-1 and NJSA 40A 12A 1-49. They're quite the reads, so thank you.
I have not run the boards, but it's letting people know. Guys who email me, I try to reply for every single one that I got. The ones in the last couple of days, I probably didn't get back to you, but I did get back to most you guys and send me reference to the development zone. So I appreciate your interest and your passion, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to get it done. Thank you, Mike.
I just want to take a minute and congratulate Jeffrey McGuigan and Jesse Miller again, and welcome Jonathan Holroyd, since he's still sitting here. He's trying to get a feel for the town. But congratulations. And I just want to remind everyone that the library book sale is coming up, and then pick up the master plan and get back to me in another 30 days. It's a very nice read. Mom?
Spent most of the day returning emails as well with Mike. I got quite a few and tried to respond to everyone. I may have gotten a few since I've been here, so thank everybody who's come out. Just remind everybody, this isn't our process. We asked for a study. All this is state-required stuff, the amount of meetings, the time frames that it goes to the planning board. The fact that me and Jake are on the planning board is required. We have to be there. It does seem like a conflict, but that's the law. So we're really going through that process, and everybody showing up is appreciated, and that's part of the process. So I don't believe that anybody has been quieted or kept from coming out, and everybody that's emailed me I've gotten back to. So I think the process is working, personally. Public Works is working on getting some bids for working on our parks. Every year we're trying to do a little more and a little more. Our parks could use a lot of work. So that's something that we're in the process of doing, so we can start off ahead of schedule this spring. And just want to thank everybody for coming out and congratulate the police officers today and all the new hires. That's all.
I don't really have anything. I do appreciate the compassion of few people, most of the people, the position. It's not something we take lightly. I did inquire to one gentleman about a conflict of interest to Solicitor Brown and Solicitor Lyons, and they told me it was okay that Tim and I voted for that. That's, we're not obligated to, but we could certainly vote for it. Doesn't necessarily mean how we voted today is how we could vote tomorrow. Just understand that. I mean, we see the compassion in there. We see the passion. So we'll figure this out. I don't know if we'll go last night or maybe after, but we'll be on the agenda and we'll see it and we'll know that that's the day we're going to vote. I wish I could give you a more definitive time. I just want to make sure that the other members of the committee understand it, are ready to vote on it, and that's when we'll take that vote. I do appreciate the big crowd. Not that. That's all I have. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Drive home, everyone.